just want to talk about age appropriateness. What does it mean for sex education to be age appropriate? And what is sex education? I know for some of us, some people have said sex education means teaching people about sex, teaching children about sex. So for teachers, what challenge have you faced in talking about the word sex education? If you've talked about it in school, what challenges do you face? What kind of challenges do you face? Okay, please, she wants that.
My name is Mrs. Adigo. I think the challenges you face when you start initially, you see the children go this way. The moment you just say sex education, we're having sex education today. You see some of them close their mouth and they are like surprised to hear such a thing.
Sex.
Yes, what sex? Because what is in their head is not what you are thinking. They have another thing, maybe from what they have been fed with or what they have heard their mates or peers say or what they have been seeing online is a different thing from what you actually want to hit at them.
Thank you so much. So, I remember a child going through a notebook, and there was a place they wrote sex, and the child said sex, and the mother was like, who? And the mother was like, what he actually meant was the sex they wrote on the book, because he was going through the book, and he didn't mean anything else. So now we're looking at it. What is sex education? All you need to know to empower your children about sex education. So our learning outcome is what is sex and sexuality education. Is there a difference? How to effectively teach it and age-appropriate sex education. We talked about women. So some misconceptions we've had. Even though we've had a lot of misconceptions and challenges, one of them is that it arouses children's curiosity and make them want to explore sex. People say, if you teach them these things, like people say ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. So if you teach children about sex education, means you're going to be teaching them about sex. Teaching sexuality education, not sex education, you wait until a child becomes a teenager before you start the conversation. And sex education is as teaching the act of sex. Next slide. Why sex education? We'll be hearing a lot of cases of rape, abuse. Like the story I gave, a girl sitting close to him, put her hand in his part and was stroking his penis, but the boy didn't know what to do. He was helpless. I believe if he had gotten the information, right information, he would have known how well to act. So in cases, it helps prevent abuse. Abusers thrive on ignorance of children. Yes, one thing that makes child sexual abuse to grow is ignorance, and they thrive on it. We are sexual beings. Children must have the right information about their sexuality. Now, we now live in an era where people say there are people who are bisexual, asexual, non-binary. There are people who will tell you they have no sex. While some people's sex, they feel it fluctuates like water. Today I'm male, tomorrow I'm female. Some have even said that they are dragons, they are cats. So people just think of anything and give it to themselves. People are even in the era of argument and say children should not have a sex. Wait until they grow up themselves and choose what sex they want to be. So it is assumed that this person has no sex at all. But I'm still wondering, are there people without any form of sex that you just let them decide? So you begin to hear a lot of misconceptions about these things. We've had people who were girls, they transitioned to become boys, and now they've gone back to become girls. We've had men who went to become women, and they've gone back to become women. So a lot of confusion around sex, and people are just being crazy around it. Children, so you need to let children know about these things and let them appreciate their bodies at an early age. Next slide. What is sex education? So before that, most times sex just means being a boy or a girl. Gender, when we say gender, now gender is both definitions. They say women should cook for their homes. Men should go to work. These are gender norms by society. And sometimes it may not be the real, because now times are changing. Gender norms, they say, women should not talk when men are around. Women should not do this. Boys should not cry. I remember going to a school and a boy asked me, should boys cry? I was like, yes. So why should a boy cry? That's a sign of weakness. If a boy cries, that means he's weak. But strong boys don't cry. So that's the case of a gender norm that has been put into them. Oh, women are weak. So women need support. You need a boy to make you feel like a woman. You need a boy to make you strong. Oh, boys, you are too strong. Anything that makes you cry or makes you feel pain, that shows they are weak. So now, what is sex education? It's just all about teaching people about their sexuality, knowledge about body development, helping children make the right decisions. Their body, changes that come with their bodies, how to make informed decision, friendship, how to relate with people. Those are the things around sexuality education. Humans, we are sexual beings because we are born either as a male, as a female. For boys, right from the womb, erection starts from that stage. So if you say, let's not talk about these things, this should be something nobody should talk about, then it's something that we're going to be hiding in ignorance. Anybody can be sexually stimulated and will be sexually aroused. Even a newborn can be sexually stimulated. I remember the first time I saw when I had my son, and when I saw he had an erection, I was so scared. I said, who is molesting this boy? But I've been with him all through. How come? So these are things that are normal. Please, let's go to the next slide. So what is it? I've just explained it. Please, the next slide. Tips for effective sex education. You must be informed and know the appropriate thing to teach at its development. Information is power. Each stage has what to be taught. If you teach it too early, it will be affected. And if you teach it too late, it may not be. Imagine me carrying my 3-year-old, maybe I carry a 3-year-old and say, now it's time to teach you about arousal. A girl will come and do this and that. Oh, come, there's what they call pornography. You will be looking at me like, what is this one talking about? But imagine me now, I'm talking to my 15-year, and I say, if a boy touch, you say, no, stop it, run away and scream. That information is not sufficient. Because if I say, no, stop it, run away and scream. What if she's enjoying it or he's enjoying it? Yes, now if you enjoy what you enjoy, will you run away and scream about it? So at that point now, it's not talking about how to manage these things. We are humans. But would you allow your feelings to control how you behave? At that point, the conversation becomes deeper. It's just like pornography. Pornography is stimulating. People that watch it become addicted to it. So if I have a teenager who is addicted to it, then I say, if you say no, run away and scream. At that point, the conversation will be about the mental health and a lot of things around it. The next is build a connection with the child. Connection, we've all talked about it. You cannot influence a person who you cannot relate with. So connection goes a long way. Create a safe and friendly environment. Create time for the child, and caregivers should be accessible. Please, next slide. So now, sex education, we said, should be age appropriate, and first, age appropriate, developmental appropriate. It has to be age appropriate because you have to look at the age of the child, the sex of the child, and also the biological development. We have children who mature way earlier than others. For girls, some people start menstruating as early as 8 years old. While there are people at 13, 14, they have not started seeing their period. So, you now see that there's a lot of difference. So, a girl who starts menstruating at 8 can get pregnant at 8 or 9 years old. Yes. So, at that point, you begin to consider when do I start teaching children about these things? There are girls who begin to develop breast at very young age. I remember when I was growing up, I loved bra so much. When I was going to secondary school, I was always wearing my mom's bra. I loved it, and it was for me because I was so freaked about it. So now, if you have a daughter like me, definitely the conversation will be different from somebody who is 12, 13, who really does not fancy those things. Because our development are different, developmental milestones. A child who grows up in a city like Abuja at 8, 9, looks like a 15-year-old, is exposed to so many information in the world. A child in the village at 15 may be as naive as the word naive and knows nothing. And when you see the child working, you may think it's a 7-year-old child. So even though age matters, but also development, mental development, psychological development, physical development. Is the class boring? Because I'm hearing a lot of people talking. So now, when you look at the development, you look at the age, you also look at the sex. For For boys, the conversation, even though there's a benchmark for everybody, but the conversations you have with boys are definitely different from conversation you will have with girls. Because girls will begin to talk about menstrual health and hygiene, how to take care of themselves, menstruation, take care of their underwears during their menstrual cycle, ovulation. Those are things that come around it. Mood swings that come during menstruation. Those are conversations that come around for girls. Boys, you begin to talk about erection, ejaculation as they grow older. Because if you begin to tell a girl about ejaculation, a 15-year-old who may not understand, it may really not do anything to her. But for a boy who knows what it means to have early morning erection, wet dreams, he or she knows how the conversation will connect. So now, age appropriate, you look at the ages of the children. You can start as young as possible. Start teaching them about their bodies. That's the first step. Many people get confused as to, how do I start this conversation? Where do I start this conversation? The first step is teaching them about their bodies. Sometimes you say, don't call it by its name. You call it bolombolo, you call it banana, you call it all this and that. So if a child comes and says, a boy puts banana inside of me, or they were playing with my banana, and comes to me to report, I may not know what is the banana he's talking about. So call these names as they are, so they understand these names properly and act, and teach them about their bodies. It can come in form of songs, form of drama, in form of play, but let it be as it's so interactive that they enjoy it. You know, because we hide, because of things sacred, people don't want to talk about it. Because we say this part is sacred. If they talk, don't let people hear. So if people don't hear it, even if a child is being abused, the child may not say it, because it feels those are sacred things that nobody should talk about. So you look at it in songs, dramas, play, make it in a fun way. Let them understand and appreciate. So for age, establish a good relationship. Tell them about people, set body boundaries, targets, talk about abusers, how they harm children, private parts, body parts. Please, next slide. And also, yes, look at what we talked about. Abusers stealing children's innocence, telling them that people are their bad people and they can steal their innocence. Like our sister there was talking about her daughter when she told her we were not wearing pads. Somebody can come and do this to you, and she understood that. So you can tell them, yes, so they're bad people. Even though we have a lot of good people, you should never be too ignorant. Sometimes what makes people fall into trouble is naivety. Some children are so naive and innocent that they don't believe they are bad people in this world. So because they are so naive and innocent, they fall into the hands of the predators. Sometimes I always pray that nobody takes advantage of the innocence of our children. Because children who are very, very innocent, sometimes really don't know what is bad. They may feel this is bad, but they really don't believe these things. I remember we were doing a Vox pop and we're on the street and we asked people, do they know if child sexual abuse exists? If there's abuse, children are molested. And some people say, they've heard, but they don't know if it is true. So I'm saying they don't know anybody it has happened to. So we got people with different responses. So there are still people who believe that children cannot be abused or molested. So asking them to touch people's private parts, play with them, telling those things the next time. At that point, that's what we need to tell them to do. I'm giving out examples of those things we need to tell them. Please, next time. Lies abusers tell to children. That's what we talked about with sexual grooming earlier. If you tell anybody, nobody will believe you. I'll give you biscuits, I'll give you sweet, you'll be my best friend. Please, the next time. How do you protect yourself as a child? You need to teach them their body belongs to them, their body belongs to God. They have a right to say no. Because anyone who comes to do these things with them wants to destroy their future. How do you protect yourself? Know your body parts, know that they are private parts and they are parts nobody should touch or play with. Please, next slide. Sex education for ages 8 to 13, while we also talk about the general conversation, you begin to bring about development. Most times, it's better to start the conversation from 7. I remember the youngest mom that ever lived, it was 5 years plus, Lena. She that they call is it precocious puberty. People who mature way earlier than their ages. So she was somebody who felt or who had that, and someone was molesting her. At 5 years and some months, she was pregnant and she became a mother. She was the youngest mother. And she, funny enough, she gave birth. The child lived to almost 40 years before the child died. So then you begin to tell them about their bodies. Puberty is one very tricky stage where children are in between. I want to please everybody, and I want to please. They just want to live to please, especially their friends. They want to be with the big boys. They want to chill with the big boys. Some of us, if we reflect back how we were as young people, you will know that these things we are talking about happening in this world has been there from the start. It's just that some of us were just keeping it in our heart as a secret, or we're admiring it, but we did not talk about it. But different things. So at this point, some of them want to chill with the big boys. Your friends are wearing. I remember when my mom, I wanted to buy a jeans skirt, a short jeans skirt. She said, never, I will buy a long jeans skirt. I said, I'm not going to buy this skirt. We went to the market, we came back. I said, I will never buy this long skirt. And she insisted that if not that long skirt, she will not buy me any skirt. Finally, I had to succumb to the long jeans skirt because I wanted to feel like my friends. It's not like now that we have mini. Then it was not even mini like the one we're having now. But that is it. You want your friends, especially those in boarding school. That's when you see a lot of lies. Yes, now many people, most of us in secondary schools didn't live our natural life in quotes because maybe you had friends whose parents were rich and fortunate, but your parents were not as rich and fortunate as they were. But you cannot present your parents as the poorest of them all. So you begin to lie. You begin to say this one. Some people begin to steal. Your parents will send you to buy something. You keep the change so that you can buy what will be up to the standard of your friends. Some people at that stage want to live to please their friends. Most times. Their friends are their target. I want to be like my friend. Mommy, they are in school now. This is the shoe everybody is wearing. I must wear this shoe. So you begin to make them that's when you begin to reinforce values. I remember my son one time, I used to buy him a particular drink. He said he doesn't want that drink again. All his friends are buying this particular one, and that is the one he must take to school. I said, no problem. Let us continue. So later now, he now came back. Now that the drink has even gone so expensive, he said, no, that is the drink he wants. I said, you don't feel. Because when I was buying it for you, you said you didn't want it. Now that the price has doubled, I will not buy for you again. So those are the things. So make them understand also their body changes. And as their body changes, for some, the changes are so slow that they may feel depressed and feel like they are not normal. Among their friends are all wearing bra. They are the only ones that have nothing to wear inside. Their friends are doing this, they are the only ones. Then they begin to feel less than themselves. And that's where some predators begin to come to play. They say, hey, you are not because they are not touching you in the right places. That's why your breast is not growing. If you want your breast to grow, come let me touch you here, touch you here. Then you begin to hear stories. That's when predators will begin to come with stories. Then I remember a secondary school say some begin to have acne. They'll say use sperm to clean your rub on your face so that your face will be smooth. So a girl of 13, 14, where will she get sperm from? This time they begin to tell you. So you begin to hear some. I don't know how many of us have heard stuff like that. And they begin to tell you strange things. Because at that point, they feel that this acne has distorted their very beautiful face and their esteem is low and they are willing to go to any length to be like their friends. So a lot of things and their body changes. For girls, for boys also, there are some changes that come and some boys begin to feel less because some of their friends have already developed broad shoulders. They are talking, they are husky boys, they are saying, whereas then when they are talking, their voice is still very feminine, like, how are you? And then people begin to laugh at them and say, get away. Or they don't have beards. Their friends are having beards. They begin to rub spirit on their face. They'll rub spirit every time so that they can also have beards. So those are changes that children should know that some are early bloomers, while some are very late bloomers. But in any way, love your body. Your body is beautiful. Your body is unique. Love your sex. Whether you're a boy or you're a girl, you are unique the way you are. You don't have to transition to somebody else or to something else to feel unique or to feel special. So sex education here involves both talking to them about their changes and also helping them understand and discover themselves and their bodies. If a lot of teenagers get aware of some of this information, they will not do some of these things they are doing. If they have people who will tell them that if you do this, it's going to affect your future, they will not do it. But because the people whose voice they always hear is the voices of their friends are the ones they always hear their voices. That is what happens. I remember reading a chat, and a girl said she used to have menstrual pain, and her friend said, that's good, but she'll connect her to a boy so that she'll stop having menstrual pain. Because they tell you that is it. Some boys will tell you, I remember then in school, boys would say, if they have erection, if they do not sleep with a girl, they'll have stomach ache and die. And so I was like, that was my thoughts then. They said if they do not sleep with a girl, they'll have stomach ache and die. So they kept saying, imagine if a girl is aware that you will not die. Do you think you can take advantage of the girl? She said, if you love me now, you see if I don't do it now, I will die. If you love me, do you want me to die? But the girl who is well aware that the boy will not die will definitely not fall to that cheap thing. Please, next slide. So puberty changes, we talked about it. Please, next slide. I've talked about changes for both boys and girls. Next slide. Next. So we talked about menstrual health and hygiene too when we are talking to girls. Children of puberty, some myths we talked about, just talk about myths now. Accumulation of sperm can cause backache, it can make them die and all those stuff. But we know nature has a way of shedding these things through wedging. You can get pregnant, you cannot get pregnant on your first sex. This is the next time. They tell girls, this is if you are doing it for the first time, you can't get pregnant. But unfortunately, like I said, it is the very naive girls that fall victim. So don't let your children to be ignorant. Ignorance is not an excuse here. Even though they say ignorance is bliss, but ignorance is not an excuse here. Please, next slide. Please. Sex is what makes you a man or a woman, like we said. That's what makes you a woman. Sex makes you to belong to the big boys. Please, next slide. Getting to know the abuser. Okay, we're talking. So that's all. Please go. So, next slide. Next slide. Okay. So, also at this point, it's also teaching the children who they are. Once they become teenagers, who they are. How it is not whether you're a boy or a girl that defines who you are. They need teenagers, for younger children, songs, dance about their bodies will go a long way. But when they get older, they need more deeper conversations. They need conversations that can transform their lives. They need to know, if I do this, this is what will happen to me. Please, next slide. If I do that, this is what will happen to me. They need to know action and consequences. For a young child who is playing with fire, a boy of 1 year may not know the consequence of playing with fire. You say, don't put your hand, don't put your hand. He will not agree until the day he puts his hand and fire burns him. After that day, he becomes scared of fire. I remember that my child was never scared of fire. I was like, how will a child not be scared of fire? When I tried to drag him away, he would not. He loves fire. Until the day he was burnt. Now, when he even sees stove, he runs away from me because he knows fire burns. But for teenagers, you don't wait until they are burnt because these things affect them in the future. A girl can get pregnant and that may be the end of her education. A boy can contract HIV and AIDS and that may be the end of it. So the consequences are so much that you shouldn't wait until they fall into it before you now start talking about it. Some may begin to even abuse substance and drugs. So even in sexuality education, you begin to talk about drug abuse and substance abuse because this is part of development and they want to chill with the big boys. And social media has played so much role in the lives of these people that the only person they want to be like is their social media icon. I remember there's this Makosa dancer I used to listen to. All what was on my mind was to run away from home and go and be dancing for him. Imagine if I was dancing for him, I would have made her own here now. I had a friend who was so obsessed with R. Kelly, and her own goal was, even if she can be a baby mama to R. Kelly, that was, if you ask her, what do you want to be? Like, say she has no future ambition, she has, but now she's a lawyer. So you see that those are the things that teenagers are very obsessed with. When you ask them, okay, I don't have a future ambition. I don't have this one. My own future ambition, I want to be like Naira Marley. I want to be like this one. And when they begin to call these names, you know that they are bigger than that and they are better than that. Not everybody can be a musician. Even though music is good, music is interesting. But some of them, their lives is not in music. Many of them are influenced by social media people. There are some of them don't longer know the difference between decency and indecency anymore. Yes, you say a woman, a mature woman will wear pants and singlet and be walking on the road, and she tells you this is the way of her expression. So teenagers see it too and feel this is a normal thing. Now, what is there about it? So this involves even conversations about indecent dress and indecent exposure. When they are aware that these things are normal, these are wrong, and these things are right, they begin to appreciate these things and do it well. So for us, in summary about age appropriate, about sex education, it has to be age appropriate, developmental appropriate. It has to meet the needs of a child per time. And most times, it is better it is taught before the child gets to that stage. I remember telling my child, I said, well, very soon, when he was 5, I said, his teeth are going to fall off. His teeth is going to fall off. And if he falls off, he's a big boy. You should be happy about it. That shows he's a big boy. I kept praising him. When his teeth fell off, I said, oh, you are such a big boy now. We went to buy ice cream. We celebrated it. I know that a lot of children lose their self-esteem when their teeth fall off. Because people begin to laugh at them. People begin to insult them. But I didn't want that to happen to him. So I turned the story the other way. So I always tell him to laugh and snap his teeth. Let me snap the teeth for him. He's already aware that. So I told him before time. So he knows that this is what will happen. For some girls, the first time they saw their period, they thought something bad happened to them. I know some of us people begin to share their experience. You'll be hearing very funny stories. So I would have thought that. I remember a friend of mine told me about menstruation. And she told me that the person who threw, then people use more of rags because pads were not popular. We saw it in the wastefield. And she said the person who threw this thing is pregnant. And after she said that, I was always scared of pregnancy. I just felt pregnancy was like an airborne disease. That when you're walking, it will just jump on top of you. Yes, I was so scared of it. And I did everything to be careful about pregnancy. So you find that people who fall such victims, they tell you, okay, if a boy touch you, not get pregnant. The boy will touch you today, says, did you become pregnant? You say no. Tomorrow he will touch you. See, you didn't become pregnant. Later he will kiss you here. Did you become pregnant? He will kiss you there. Before you know, the male sex will happen. At that point, the child will disappear. So for those are the summary and all the things about it. I know a lot of us know these things and we know how to communicate it to our schools. Our Protect the Child Foundation, we also go to schools to talk to them about things like that. So in case you want us to come to your school to talk with your children, you want us to talk with your students, we are glad and willing to come. We visited several schools in the FCT. I know some of the teachers here will visit some schools that are here, and we were willing to be part of it. We are short of time. The last presentation we will not be doing it. I will only post it in the group. We will create a WhatsApp group. We want us to create sexual safety policies for our schools and post and share it. And second, we will create sexual safety policies for our schools. We will post and share. And please, this training, we would like everybody to do a step down in their school. We have certificate for participants. It's for those who participated for the 2 days event. That's yesterday and today, as a way of showing up. And also, please, before leaving, you just need the reception at the backstage to pick up your transportation allowance for those who attended right there. So please, we'll just start. And after the certificate, we'll do a group photo. Please don't leave before we take. Okay, you want to have a question? Please share your question. Good afternoon, everyone.
Mine isn't a question, it's a contribution that I've been wanting to give since yesterday. Okay, for those of us that may be feeling I've not had a case of sexual abuse before, or it can never happen to me, or what have you. I'm a teacher, so I'm going to bring back some of these things that we've learned. Remember, we said that child sexual abuse is just a part of child abuse. So in your homes, there are forms of child abuse going on that you may not be aware of. When I was growing up, I do tell my mom that as a mother of a boy, you're not supposed to tie a wrapper loosely around your son. But she tells me, or she told me then that he's my son cannot do anything. My son, please, you are abusing that son, mothers. Fathers, when you wear your boxers and you sit down in the parlor, close your legs because some boxers are open enough for your penis to show. That is a form of child abuse. It is not until you sexually abuse that child. There are non-contact forms of abuse. Please, mothers, Nickelodeon is not a cartoon for children. They show scenes that are not for children. The cartoon station that for kids is Nick Junior, not Nickelodeon station. For mothers here that feel that your child is still small and so they can sleep with house helps, it is your duty to make sure that you watch over your kids. Remember, we said both boys and girls are abused, not only girls. So if you have boys, maybe I'm particularly concerned because I have 3 boys, okay? So if you have boys and you have a maid, you should not be at rest that my child is a boy. You should watch over your boys, please. Also, sorry, I noted them down. When we talk about pedophiles, we are not talking about men only. Women too are pedophiles in the society. Please and please take note of that. So don't just be focusing on men when you hear the word a pedophile. A woman is also a pedophile. I also noted here that yes, when we talked about those that are prone to abuse, we left out the physically challenged. They are, as far as I'm concerned, they are major stakeholders when we talk about those that can be abused. The physically challenged, those that cannot talk, they cannot say what has happened to them. They have speech impairments. Those with autism, oh please, children with autism, how do we help them? Please, how do we help them? We should not just look at children with poverty. Autism is in the house of rich men. How do you help those with autism that cannot talk, that cannot express what they are going through? I noted here also that when you are a mother and you want to talk, okay, someone mentioned it, values in the house. Please ask your kids to excuse you. Whether you're talking with your husband or your female friends or your male friends. We are in a highly sexual society, so we talk about this thing as if he doesn't care. I was in an interview with the owner of a school, and he was telling me that our kids know everything, so there's nothing to hide from them. I said, as long as they are below that age, don't assume that they already know more than you. Okay, that's what we say now. We say they already know more than us, so we expose them the more. They already know more than you. What are you doing to help that knowledge that they have to be directed towards directed positively? What are you doing to help that knowledge that they have to be put into the right use? What are you doing about it? Are you the one exposing your children to abuse? Hey, mother of boys that like packing their boys' hair, and you put earrings, or your husband tie their own hair and they put earrings, you are sexualizing that child, please. Because that child grows up with hair and earring, and a girl comes and approach him. You are the one that started the child sexual abuse. A girl comes and approach him because he's tying and he wants your son to now be the female. Who started the child sexual abuse? You're the one. So these are ways or forms by which we abuse our children ourselves that we don't know. We should not only be thinking about the sexual aspect. We should be thinking about mothers in the house. You wear bomb shirts and spaghetti tops because you want to impress your husband. Please do that in your bedrooms. Do that in your own bedroom. Don't wear it to the parlor. Your child is small, is 5 years old. You don't know what you are doing. What you are doing is that, yes, your child cannot come and touch you, but you are creating a kind of imposition in that child, that the child will see a female outside and want to know what it looks like. Is it as flat as my mommy's own? Is it as pointed as my mommy's own? Why is this one big? Why is this one small? You started that abuse. You are the one abusing your child by yourself. So when we talk about abusing children, we should not only look at the sexual aspect. We should look at how we ourselves are abusing our children in our homes. Thank you.